You're listening to GWP Live. It is Sunday, March 15th, 2026, and it is 5:10 p.m. Central Daylight Time. We're tracking some ongoing hazardous weather here across the state of Missouri. We've got some severe weather that's ongoing across the southeastern portion of the state, including a few tornado warnings. One of those tornado warnings is in downtown St. Louis, so we're going to take a look at that here in just a moment. And then we also do have some snow squall warnings across northwestern and central Missouri that's going to be soon moving into Jefferson City and Columbia. So we're also going to be looking at that. So we've got all kinds of hazards that are in play with us here as we look at the ongoing winter weather that we have. So, starting off with our national weather alerts that we have here. This is from the National Weather Service here. You'll notice that we have all sorts of alerts. We were showing you these earlier today. We've got ongoing severe weather and tornado watches across Missouri and Illinois. We've also got tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings across Texas and Arkansas, extending along this line ahead of the cold front. And then we've got some freeze alerts here, red flag alerts. We've actually had a dust storm that's been ongoing across western Texas. Visibilities have been reduced to less than a mile, even near zero visibility at times because of the strong wind and dust that has been blowing there in Texas. We've had 60-mile-per-hour winds in Kansas and Oklahoma and Nebraska, at least gusting to 60 miles per hour. We've had blizzard conditions reported in Green Bay, Wisconsin, where there's been around 9 to 10 inches of accumulation there. And then we also have ice storm warnings across northern Michigan, where we're expecting up to a half of an inch of ice expected across that region. And then again, we even have some snow squalls across northern Missouri as some of that colder air and moisture are meeting up on the backside of the storm system, on the backside of that cold front. And that is leading to some reduced visibilities here, even across the state of Missouri. And so that's what we're going to be looking at very closely here. So we're going to start with looking at some of these snow squall warnings since these are in the immediate area. So we've got this one here to the south. This is actually in our viewing area just to the east of Kansas City. This includes Warrensburg and Sedalia, Missouri. The National Weather Service in Pleasant Hill has issued a snow squall warning. This goes in effect until 5:45 p.m. And so we're talking about a dangerous snow squall was located along a line extending 6 miles southeast of Carrollton to near Leeton, moving east at 35 miles per hour. The Warrensburg Surface Observation recently reported quarter-mile visibility and 30-mile-per-hour winds. So we're talking about strong gusty winds along with reduced visibility from heavy blowing snow that has now been reported in the Sedalia area. So the hazard is going to be intense burst of heavy snow. Gusty winds could lead to very hazardous conditions on the roadways with visibilities rapidly falling to less than a quarter of a mile with some of those strong wind gusts. So we've got radar indicated threat. This has also been indicated by our webcams as well that have shown that visibility. So again, near zero visibility along Interstate 70, including Warrensburg and Sedalia, and then just to the west of Columbia. This same snow squall is going to be moving towards the east, and if it holds together, we'll move into Columbia and Jefferson City, including US 63 and along Interstate 70 over the next hour or two. So we're talking about travel will become very difficult on the interstate. This is where we start dealing with the risk of, multi-vehicle crashes. These kind of events happen when we're talking about snow squalls that reduce visibility to such an amount. It's kind of crazy because these snow squalls, we don't really see them very often here in the state of Missouri. But if you want to look at it this way, it's like the equivalent of a severe thunderstorm warning. It's just for winter weather instead of severe storms. The only difference is these winds are likely not going to be strong enough to actually cause any damage, but they are going to be strong enough, again, to reduce visibility, to make travel very difficult with the blowing snow. And then we've also just got heavy snowfall rates as well. And what makes these so dangerous is you can go from light flurries or no snow at all to whiteout conditions and snow piling up on the roadways and blowing down or blowing around. You can see that switch happen in a matter of minutes. And that's what makes it so dangerous because you're on the roadway, you think things look fine, and they are fine until you get in one of these intense snow squalls. Now, the good news about this is these usually only last about 20 to 30 minutes, but within that 20 to 30-minute window, you can see a quick inch or two of snowfall that accumulates on the roadways and makes those surfaces slippery. So even when the snow squall moves out, you can still have accumulation on the ground and on those roadways. And so that's what's important to understand. And here's the deal, temperatures may still be at or above freezing, so not all of this may stick to the ground, but it doesn't matter. It all has to do with the visibility that's blowing around the snow. That's what makes it dangerous. It's not necessarily about the slick road conditions. I mean, that definitely plays a role, but the main risk is from the strong gusty winds that reduce visibility. That's what makes these so dangerous. So make sure that you slow down. If you're on a highway or an interstate, you might want to pull over to the shoulder, wait it out for a good 20 or 30 minutes, and wait until visibility improves across this area. So again, a dangerous snow squall has been reported around the Sedalia and Warrensburg area along Interstate 70 as well, moving towards the east. It's going to be moving towards Jefferson City and Columbia. So if you're going to be traveling across this region, you need to be very careful if you're going to be on the roadways because reduced visibilities will make it very dangerous for travel. So we've also got another snow squall warning just to the north of that. It's just to the east of Chillicothe. So we've got Chillicothe, Brookfield, Carrollton. We've got Brunswick. We've got Waverly. We've got Green City, along with many other cities as well. And we've got at 5:08, a dangerous snow squall was located along a line extending near Millen to 7 miles northeast of Malton Bend, moving east at 40 miles per hour. So this is pretty much the same snow squall that's affecting Warrensburg and Sedalia. So again, reduced visibilities along US 65 and US 36, as well as US 70 and US 50, or excuse me, Interstate 70 and US 50 are going to be expected across these areas. So again, intense snowfall is expected. And then we've also got, we don't necessarily have snow squall warnings, but we do have some light to moderate snow that has been ongoing across Nevada. We've had a little bit of reduced visibilities, maybe to like a mile or so. So again, make sure that you are traveling safely across those areas as well. We've had some reports of grapple around Lake of the Ozarks, around Hermitage. There was some grapple that was reported as well. And again, this continues to move further towards the east. And I guess sometimes I throw out terms that are not necessarily as, you don't hear them as often. Grapple, what is grapple? I know a lot of you might be kind of wondering about that. That's kind of like a mixture between a sleet pellet and a snowflake. And so essentially what it is it's round snowflakes is really what it is, but it's called grapple. It's not necessarily quite snow, but it's when sleet tries to turn into snow is kind of, I guess, what I would call it. It's a mix between a sleet pellet, a pellet of ice, and a flake of snow. It's essentially kind of a mixture of those two, kind of is what I would call it. So that's what grapple is. Or not a mixture, but it's kind of like in between both of those types of precipitation, if you want to look at it like that. So that would be my best description of grapple, I guess you could say. So it's not really a huge deal. It's not really the same impacts that you would have with snow. Sleet, of course, is a lot more slick. So I guess in grapple, you're not going to have as much slickness out there. But of course, sleet is a little bit more slippery, we'll say, than snow is, of course. That's something to keep in mind. All right, then we've got the other side of this, which is the tornado threat. So again, we've just got all sorts of things happening here. We've got a tornado warning on the east side of St. Louis. This continues for Madison and St. Clair counties in Illinois till 5:45. So again, possible tornado moving in. We've also got some very strong winds here. We've got an active severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds and some small hail as well. So again, this is something that we need to continue to watch. We've also got additional tornado warnings across the southeastern portion of the state of Missouri. But across our viewing area, the main threat is going to be snow squalls. So yes, we are actually dealing with snow squalls and tornadoes at the same time in the state of Missouri. Yes, that is exactly You're hearing this correctly. That is exactly what we're experiencing right now. We have snow squall warnings in the same region that we have, or not really in the same region, but in the same state as we have active tornado warnings. So that, of course, is something to continue to watch here. Of course, that severe weather threat is further towards our east, but again, if you're going to be traveling across Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, Illinois, or Indiana, and Kentucky, of course, you're going to need to watch this very closely because we do have an enhanced risk for severe weather for today. And as we did mention, even a moderate risk as we go into tomorrow across the Carolinas, Virginia, including Washington, D.C., up along Interstate 95. Wind is going to be a major concern. 75-mile-per-hour wind gusts or stronger, and that hatched area is going to be a possibility. And then EF2s or stronger when it comes to tornadoes across that hatched zone as well. Hail is going to be a risk, potentially greater than 2 inches from North Carolina all the way down to the Panhandle of Florida, where we have that hatched region as well. So again, today and tomorrow, severe weather risk is going to be further towards our east. So that's something we're going to be watching. So if you're going to be traveling across any of those areas, especially in Washington, D.C., if you're going to be traveling in and out of that airport, just be aware that we're going to be looking at the risk for some very hazardous storms tomorrow afternoon. And so that could lead to some travel difficulties with that. So again, tornado watch remains in effect across eastern Missouri until 8 o'clock this evening. 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. A few tornadoes are going to be possible. Of course, we've got a few active tornado warnings in the state of Missouri right now, so we're going to continue to watch that. And then again, light snow, but also the wind. This is the really big story. This is one of the reasons why the snow is such a big deal. Even though we're not seeing a whole lot in accumulations, we're seeing a lot of impacts from the snow, partly because we're talking about winds 40 to 50 miles per hour, as we mentioned, causing those snow squalls. That's going to be something to keep in mind as we go forward in time. So again, you'll want to make sure to bring in those trash cans, really just any loose objects that you have outdoors, because they may blow away if you don't. And so you'll want to make sure to secure anything. If you got like an umbrella or something, or like a small bench or a chair that's lightweight, you might want to bring that inside because that could blow away or it could be tossed around and then it could break if it flies across the yard. And so that's something to keep in mind. And then again, a few tree limbs could come down as well. And so this is why we always say to cut any tree limbs that are hanging over your house, because those can fall, they can crash through your roof, and then now you need a new roof. And so then that's a really big insurance call that you have to make there. So you want to avoid all of that. So again, with this cold front, 40 to 50 mile per hour winds in western Missouri, the wind threat is going to be until 7 a.m. Monday. For central Missouri, it goes until noon. 40 to 55 mile per hour wind gusts. Again, a few spotty power outages cannot be ruled out. Because we have the cold front moving in, temperatures will drop to below 20 tonight. Wind chills could be below 0, so make sure you bundle up. It's still going to be chilly, but not as chilly on Tuesday morning. Temperatures will be about the same, but the winds will be a lot calmer because, that wind threat moves out tomorrow. So by Tuesday morning, the winds will not be as strong, so wind chills will be about the same as the temperature, and so that's what's going to make things a little bit better as well. But again, really strong winds are expected here across many different cities, again, getting upwards of 50 to 55 miles per hour at times. All right, so let's go ahead and let's show you the latest run here of just kind of what we're expecting. So again, burst of heavy snowfall will continue through this evening across western and central Missouri. Eventually, that colder air will move into the eastern portion of the state, and so then we'll have really all of Missouri getting involved in this. Again, the heavier totals are going to be further towards the north as well as towards kind of the west, because the southeast, that's where we're dealing with that tornado threat. So keep that in mind as we go over the next few hours. Here we are at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, still with some lingering snow. It's going to get lighter as we go through the evening hours, and then eventually, after midnight, the majority of this snowfall will move out of here. So how much snowfall are we expecting? We've got maybe a dusting possible across Nevada. That's going to be over the next hour or so. And then here in Columbia, where it appears that the snow has started, we're looking at up to an inch of accumulation is going to be possible. Oh, and then one other thing that I went ahead and created here, just kind of on this map here that we've used for various different snowfall forecasts. Well, today I'm using it to just kind of show you what our viewing area is. I know I've kind of given some vague descriptions of what a region of Missouri we mainly focus on here. Now, of course, sometimes we look at regional forecast or we look at other places in the U.S. if there's extreme weather, but our main central focus for weather here in the Great World Productions is going to be this particular area, mainly along Interstate 44 and points to the north, including Joplin, over to Nevada, all the way to the Kansas-Missouri border, just south of Kansas City, along Interstate 70 over to Columbia, Lake of the Ozarks, Stockton Lake is in there, and then of course Jefferson City and Columbia as well. So again, that's kind of this goes all the way over to Rolla. So Rolla, Missouri is kind of like the cutoff, Jefferson City is the cutoff, and then Columbia is kind of the cutoff on this side, and then it goes over to Nevada and Joplin and up to Kansas City. So kind of in this boxed area, that's really our main focus when it comes to different types of weather. But again, occasionally we do show you weather across other regions across the state. So, all right, so that is what we're continuing to watch here. Let's just take another look here at the radar. So again, things are getting very active at this point in time. Just in fact, so we've got 19 severe thunderstorm warnings. Those extend from Texas all the way into Illinois. We've also got a few warnings in Florida as well from an unrelated system. And then we've got a couple of snow squall warnings. Those are still ongoing across the state here of Missouri, as we mentioned, and then a couple of tornado warnings at this point in time. Looks like we're at 4 tornado warnings right now. So yeah, 4 active tornado warnings and 2 active snow squall warnings at this point in time. And so again, just very heavy snowfall is expected within these bursts of snowfall. And again, just kind of looking at this point in time, it appears that we do have some light snow that is now falling here at the University of Missouri in Columbia. So some light snow has now moved into the area. Visibility is not too bad. Temperatures right now, let's see, currently at 35 degrees, so likely not going to see any accumulation, at least for for a little bit. Something else that's kind of interesting, I don't know if I've mentioned this, I don't think I have, at least on this live stream, is the longer it snows, the colder the temperature actually gets. Because what happens is, as that moisture begins to increase, it actually saturates the atmosphere and lowers the temperature. And so that's something that's kind of interesting. And so, really, the longer and the heavier it snows, the closer your temperature is going to get to below freezing. And so, even though the snowfall is maybe not really accumulating right now, it's very well possible that we still get accumulation later tonight. As I mentioned, I still think we're going to see anywhere from maybe half an inch to an inch of accumulation. Some forecasts that I've seen are pushing it towards 2 inches or 3 inches. I don't necessarily see that happening. I think somewhere in the state of Missouri we will see 2 or 3 inches, but I think for the most part it's going to be about a half an inch to an inch. So just kind of throwing that out there. So that's what we're going to be experiencing here. Let's see if we have any updates here. So we have a few updates on those warnings, but the snow squall warnings are still in effect. So again, I just really want to highlight this because this is going to cause some issues out on the roadways here in the Sedalia over to Warrensburg area. So that's a really big concern. Here's Boonville. That's just to the west of Columbia. So the snow squall warning is a little bit west of Boonville. In fact, it looks like we've got a band of heavier snow around Rocheport over to just southeast of Boonville, west of Jamestown, over to California, Missouri. Yeah, looks like we're about to get a heavy band of snow in California and Jamestown. And then this will start moving towards US 63. And then again, some light snow here along Interstate 70 is currently falling. And just kind of looking outside here, again, very light snowfall, probably like flurries at this point in time, but we'll see as that continues to build in. Looks like we're still dry across the Jefferson City area, Lake of the Ozarks. We've got some light snow falling, some heavier snow around El Dorado Springs over to Wabalo, likely seeing some heavier snow across that region, as well as into Collins, Missouri. We've got Stockton Lake kind of in that light to moderate snow. A little bit of heavier snow along Highway 43, Missouri State Highway 43, as well as US 71 and Interstate 49. So that area getting impacted. Joplin likely getting into some heavier precipitation as well, which I believe Joplin would be I believe some of this south of Interstate 44 is actually rain. So, but the majority of this is snow. And then we got some lighter snow still ongoing across Kansas City, out to the west, across eastern Kansas as well. And then, of course, we get into the really heavy snow further to the north, where we've actually had those blizzard conditions across, as we mentioned, in Green Bay, Wisconsin earlier today. So it's kind of what we're looking at this point in time. Not really any additional alerts at this point in time. Again, would not be surprised if this turned into a snow squall warning. I don't think we're quite windy enough. Like, I don't see a whole lot of wind here in Columbia right now. So I don't think we have enough wind for this to be upgraded to one. So that, of course. So yeah, that's kind of where then we've got those winter weather advisories too, of course. I'm going to take those hazards off for just a second, just to show you where we've got some. So again, we've got some really heavy snow just to the west of Boonville, right in this area. That's where we've got that snow squall ongoing. So just to the northeast of Sedalia. This could also be that snow squall, but I think this is really our snow squall that we're watching at this point in time. So again, just very intense snowfall is going to be coming down here. Yes, that's something that we're going to continue to watch over the next couple of hours as this continues to move further towards the east. So again, burst of heavy snow, reducing visibility with blowing snow, 30, 40 mile per hour wind gusts are going to be possible. And then in addition to that, we've got that tornado and severe weather risk ongoing across the southeastern portion of the state as well. All right. Well, since we don't have any new alerts, it is about 5:30, so I think we're going to go ahead and yeah, unless anything new pops up, I think we are going to I thought I saw a new warning pop up. All right, first I'm going to make sure that we don't have any new warnings. If we don't, then I think we will go ahead and we will move. Okay, so just an update. This snow squall warning, it hasn't updated yet on this particular radar, but this snow squall warning has expired. The Chillicothe snow squall warning has just expired. And so now, but we do still have the snow squall warning in effect for Sedalia. So that remains in effect for Pettis, Howard, Saline, Lafayette, Cooper, and Johnson counties. Okay. Oh, we just had something. Yes, I knew that. I thought we had had something new come in. Joplin has just gone under a snow squall warning. So yeah, this is really not surprising. Again, we've got some very intense heavy snow moving in with this system here. So this is really not surprising. Again, we've got severe weather on the eastern side of the state, and now we have ongoing snow squall warnings across the western portion of the state at the same time that we have tornado warnings in eastern Missouri. So, yeah, that is what we are looking at this point in time. Again, just a very powerful spring storm system that we are seeing. The fact that we're able to get heavy snow at that, at the same time that we're getting tornadoes is just really remarkable when you think about it. But that is the power of this spring storm system, and that's what can happen when you get spring storm systems. So, again, snow squall warning still in effect. For the possibility of some very heavy snow with gusty winds, and that continues for the Sedalia and Marshall area. And then again, getting into some very heavy snowfall now across the Joplin area as well, and points just to the north of that where a new snow squall warning has been issued. So it still hasn't come up yet on my map. Or on this map here, but I'm looking at it on a different map here where it came up a little bit quicker. And so sometimes there is a bit of a delay with the different radars and everything. And so the snow squall warning was just issued for Barton, Newton, Lawrence, and Jasper and Dade counties in Missouri. This was by the National Weather Service in Springfield, Missouri. This goes in effect until 6:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time. At 5:30, a dangerous snow squall was located along a line extending near Lamar, and I guess I'll show you that here. There it is in Lamar. So that's the Lamar area along US 160, extending near Lamar to near Carthage, to 6 miles northeast of Seneca, moving east at 55 miles per hour. The hazards are intense bursts of heavy snow, gusty winds leading to blowing snow and rapidly falling visibility, wind gusts greater than 40 miles per hour. So again, travel will become difficult and potentially dangerous within just a matter of minutes. This includes Joplin, Carthage, Webb City, Stockton Lake, Monette, Carl Junction, Mount Vernon, Oronogo, Granby, Carterville, Sarcoxie, Pierce City, Jasper, Diamond, and Golden City, as well as many others. This goes from mile markers 2 to 47. So if you are along Interstate 49 from mile marker 2 to mile marker 47, you are under a snow squall warning. There it is. Just there it is. So just as I was talking about it, we just now got it there. So again, a snow squall warning has now been issued for southwestern Missouri. This includes Barton, Newton, Lawrence, Jasper, and Dade counties until 6:15 p.m. with the possibility of very dangerous travel across this region. And again, it can go downhill very quickly. And I'm not talking about literally, I'm talking about visibility can go down very quickly with this intense snowfall and gusty winds that we are experiencing right now. So again, a new snow squall warning has just been issued for the Joplin area. We will continue to keep you updated on all the latest